Alright, we're back at it. We're gonna put the line on the reels today. I'm gonna go through putting line on one of the reels. Try to make this as short as I can. Try to make it as easy as I can for you. It's the next morning. Yeah, I put my Hard Knocks iron shirt back on. Represent the brand. But I'm gonna line my reels. I got this little portable line station. Works really well. I like it. Had it for a number of years. My daddy gave it to me. But it holds the big spools, small spools, whatever. But this is the line I use. It's done really well for me over the years. Tri-lean, big game. This is 15-pound test line. I haven't had any issues with it. This is the same line I just put on my pin reels, which I think next time that I line my pin reels, I'm gonna go with a little heavier line, just because the pin reel. I'm finding out that that smaller line on the pin reel is a little too small for that pin reel, so I think I'm gonna go up to a 20 or 25-pound test line on that. But as far as the Ambassadors 15-pound test line, unless you're fishing for freaking blue whales, I haven't had a problem with it. I catch plenty of 20s. I've caught, biggest carp I ever caught was a 35/8. I mean, that's all you need. If, like I said, it's your preference, but this right here throws really well. It just performs really, really well, in my opinion. But I usually get the big spools. I wanted to do the clear line on the pin reels and couldn't find it in the big spools in the 15-pound test line, which now coming to think about it, I need to go bigger anyway on that. Like I said, when I set this up, I set it up when it's got a little tension on it, just so it won't free spool. So you can set your tension with these springs right here. It has like I keep this one set right here all the time. That way, that's where I know where my big spool is going to lay. That way it has an even distribution. Yeah, that's my word. And I'll take this one and push it in. It goes on that shaft, and I'll just make it where it has a little bit of tension, and then I'll tighten it up. That way it holds the tension, and it makes it where you put the line on tight. You don't want your line going on loose on your reel. So, like I said, I put these back on the rods last night just to store them for the night. And there we go. You can just set your reel in there, just like so. It simulates it just being in a rod, like it right there. Sorry, there ain't no position. But you can, when I've always lined my reels, it's just my preference, but I guess you're gonna have to imagine this being backwards a little bit. When I start my reel line, I always start from left to the right. So I'll get this where it's in the middle, going left. Well, going right from left. It's my preference. It's just what's always worked for me. It's what's always worked to get my line even. I like my line to be even. I can't stay in line being all cocked to one side, off the other side, bunched up in the middle. I want it to be even. I'm kind of particular about that. So what I do, and I just tie a simple little knot. I don't try it, because you're putting almost 220 yards of line on here. If I've got a fish that's pulling 220 yards of line off, I don't need that fish, because that thing's a monster, literally. Usually use my nice little handy dandy clippers that I've had my whole life. All I do is pull it up. I'll try to get this in focus a little bit. And I literally just tie a regular old knot. Nothing fancy schmancy, nothing to make but just a fancy schmancy little knot there. Pull it tight. Then I'll clip the excesses off as low as I can get it, just like so. Try not to clip the line that I'm trying to pull off. When I first start, I will pull it to get it started. Now, as you can see, it's going to go from my left to the right. So you've got that little bit, and now it's started good. And now you're just going to get it. Now what I'll do, I'll keep my thumb right there, and I'll make sure that this thing, the very start is where you want it to be even at, because that's kind of like what's going to let you know what your line's going to go on even like. So if your base is all lopsided and stuff, your top's going to be all lopsided and stuff. But all I'm doing is just making sure, and yes, you can see I'm guiding it with my fingers. At the same time, it's just something I've always done. It does, I mean, this is a good tool to have to put your line on with, but at the same time, you still need to be mindful it's got good tension. You can see on there, I mean, it's taut. I mean, that's how much tension is coming off that spool, so it's not just coming on. I see a lot of people at the lake, they'll have new line on their reels and be bird nesting them and backlashing them all over the place, and it's just from the line not being put on tight. If your line is put on tight, yeah, you might backlash a little bit at the first until you catch that first fish on it. Then it's going to tighten that line up really well. But I found that if you put your line on tight, you're going to have a whole lot more success with your reels. So, and like I mentioned yesterday in my videos of reassembling everything, I always make sure my spool tension is tight. That way that spool is in the middle. It's not going to walk, because when you loosen that spool tension, your spool can sit there and walk inside the frame. So if you keep it tight, you keep your drag tight, that keeps everything where it's going to be centered. So you're not going to be walking your line all over the place. Yes, I am guiding it with my fingers here. It's just something I've came up with over the years to make sure my line stays nice and even. And all I'm going to do is just stay at a constant pace, and it's going to fill up the reel. And also pay attention to where the line is actually on the big spool, because that'll make the difference down here on the reel. If the line's over here on the big spool, it's going to take a lot more time for it to get back over to here. So if you're not paying attention, that line's over here on this big spool, it's going to fill this reel up more on this side of the reel. So you need to be aware of that and kind of push this line over when it's filling up on your spool, on your ambassador. So right now you can see that the line's going over to here. It's going over to there. So you want to make sure that that line is straight on the reel. That's all I'm doing right here. Now, Miss Teresa and them, Michelle at the Bass Shack, they have this freaking awesome machine. And I'm sure a lot of bait shops and line rod and reel shops have it as well. But her machine actually has a device on it. And I'm sure I could probably rig something up in here that would keep this line at a straight tilt. so that's coming on straight, but why when I can just do this right here with my fingers? I mean, keep it simple, right? So like I said, what I'm doing is just making sure that the line is getting put on the reel evenly. Yeah, you're gonna hear me keep on saying that because I'm a stickler for my line being even and all that good stuff. But I'm just paying attention to it, making sure that nothing's getting lopsided. It's looking good. The line's going on nice and crisp, nice and tight. Yeah, you get a little forearm work on this thing because, like I said, your reel is, the spool tension's tight, the drag's tight, so it's a little bit hard to turn it. I ain't gonna lie, but it's worth it because it will definitely help you out with your line getting on even. And like I said, you can make sure with your fingers that you can keep it even. And if you see it getting uneven, just adjust it with your fingers. You know, you can see me, I'm pushing the line to where it needs to go to make sure it does get on there even. And I'm just paying attention to where what my spool looks like. You can see the lines over there, hopefully, I don't know. But I'm just making sure that the line is getting on there evenly. Yeah. And this ain't the first time you throw this thing, the first time you throw your reel, it's not going to matter. All of it's going to be, it's going to come out even in the wash later on. But if it's all lopsided, you're not going to have the right amount of line on your reel. So your reel's not going to perform as good as it can, because the amount of line that's on your reel is going to determine how good your reel performs when you throw it. So if it's not filled to the gills, as you could say, then it's not going to perform as well. What I'm looking for right now, I'm just seeing where my line is according to my spool. It's getting about filled up. You want to, there's a specific little that I shoot for when I'm filling up my ambassadors, and I probably do put a little bit more line than I should, but that there is about my, that right there is about my, I just go by the top of the spool right there. If I can see about a thumbnail little trace right there, and you can see that it's even. It's put on there even. It's going to lay even. It's on there tight. I mean, I still got, I hit it with my hand, but I mean, that right there is really good, really even. That's what I like to do right there. And that reel is going to perform, and it's going to throw good. It's going to reel in good, and we're not going to have any problems with it. I can guarantee you, I can go right now and put a bear sinker on there and throw it as far as I want to without bird nesting, just because the line's on there tight. That's going to make all the difference in the world, is making sure your line is on there tight. So when you're lining your reels, just remember that, even and tight. As long as you can remember those two things, I think you'll be all right. But that's going to do it for this one. If you got anything out of this, I appreciate you for watching. And if you got any questions, just ask. God bless you. All right, what's up, guys? I'm going to take myself out of the video on this one because I want to focus on, I went over this a couple months ago out in my building, but hell, couldn't really see it. But I put the line on my reel, and now I'm going to put the hooks on it. Like I said before, a long time ago, I used a 3/4 sinker. I want to slang that thing out there. I use a straw bead that goes in between my sinker and my swivel. And I use a 3-way swivel for the most part. Sometimes I'll use a 1-way, but most part it's a 3-way swivel. Like I said before too, that there's really not a certain way to hang these, but there is a way that I like. I'll look for the way that it hangs the best, and I'll use that one to put it on the main line. The knot that I use is a polymer knot. It's just a simple little knot, but it's strong, and I've been using it for a few years now, about 5-6 years now, I guess. And I use it because it's simple. I mean, like I stated before, if you're fishing at nighttime, your line breaks or something, you ain't got a whole lot of light. I mean, this is a simple knot. You can literally, once you learn it, you can tie it with your eyes closed. But all you're gonna do is just simply double your line over, just like that. You're gonna make it where you're gonna go through your eye of your swivel, just like that. So you're just gonna go through it, just like you'd be tying a regular knot. You got your excess line up there. It's hanging over here. I think I need some more. You want enough to be able to pull it later. So put that in there like that. Simply done. This is literally one of the simplest things. After you double your line over, all you're gonna do is go twist it one time. You're gonna put that knot through this. You're gonna go through your line that you just went over, and then you're gonna put the swivel back through that hoop. Then that's what you're gonna have. I put a little bit of spit on it, and I'll take both lines, pull them tight, and then I'll take each individual one and pull it tight. Then find the excess. Don't get the one that is on your main line, because you'll be redoing it. But that's a polymer knot. Simple, yet effective. And it's not gonna slip. It's gonna hold. The reason for the straw bead is just simply because to protect that knot. That's all it's there for. You got that swivel sitting there beating, you've got that sinker sitting there beating your knot, it could possibly freight it. And then it could possibly cause a catastrophic failure when you got a 40-pound carp on. That would suck, wouldn't it? I'm just kidding, but that right there is gonna protect that knot. And I'm gonna put my 6s back on here. These are 6 wide bends. It's a smaller wide bend hook, laser sharps. They're absolutely good hooks. That's what they are right there. I've used these for a number of years. They work really well. But I tie my own hooks same way I've always tied them my whole life, basically. It's just a simple little tie, nothing to it. And all I do is just do a simple slip knot, put it through there, bring it back, pull it to it. It's good to go. Now do the same thing for this one. And this is the same line that I use for my reels, basically. This is just the clear version of the big game. It's just when my spools get too small and I don't think there's enough line to spool another reel, I'll just start using that line for tying hooks. But that's the same line, it's 15-pound test line, big game. But that's on there, ready to go. That's what my rig looks like. Just a nice little carp rig, American style. I use, that's probably about a 4-inch leader. I like to have a little bit of leader so that when you get your pops on there, it will bring it off the bottom a little bit. So that carp has something to hook onto, or catfish, whatever you're going for. We catch catfish too, same bait, same everything. They like it too. But that's tying my rig on. That's how I've done it best my whole life, except for the polymer knot, which I just changed that about, like I said, 5 or 6 years ago. But everything else has remained the same. All right, I appreciate you. God bless you. All right, guys, we're gonna go over this one last thing. It's just setting the spool tension on your reel. Remember, like when I put my line on there, I keep my spool tension tight. That way it doesn't let the spool walk. So I'm gonna teach you a way, I'm gonna show you my way that I was taught very long time ago by a guy named Willie down at Cook's. He taught me how to do this, and I've done it ever since. So what you're gonna do is hold your rod up toward the sky. And then, well, let me take it up to the top. All right, take your rod, mash your button. There we go. Now get your spool tension. Remember, spool tension's over here. And so what you're gonna do is turn it counterclockwise, backwards, and we're gonna watch that spool, that sinker, start falling. And as soon as you don't want to go real fast, just take a little bit off at a time. And then when your sinker will start falling, that's when you know your spool tension is good. All right, you see it start falling? All right, when it starts to fall, what I do for my preference, and anybody can have their own preference of how they want their spool tension. You can want it fast or slow or whatever. What I do is literally just, when it starts to fall, I'll go just a touch, maybe 1/8 of a turn back, just a little bit more. So once it starts falling, I'll go a little extra turn, and that's it. That way, nice and smooth fall, and it's good to go. That's why I like to have mine set at. Everybody, like I said, you can have your own preference of where you want your spool tension to be set at. Depends on what you like. Everybody has their own thing. I ain't mad at you having your own little thing, but anyway, just be sure to set it the way you like it. And that's, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know. I'll do my best to answer if you need be. But that's it. That's going to do it for this little series. I hope it was informative for you. Went from cleaning them to disassembling to reassembling, putting line on it, putting hooks on it, and setting your spool tension for when you want to throw it. So I hope y'all have a good one, and God bless you.